The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nicole Hennessy, Vice President of Music Biz. Welcome to the Common Ground webinar series. Happy to have you all in attendance today and very happy to have Linkfire here for our presentation. Before I turn it over, I do have a few kind of housekeeping things to update you on. We have a lot of events coming up, whether face-to-face or virtual. So let's start from the top. Music Biz 2020, that's our annual event, will be in Nashville, May 11th through the 14th of 2020. Registration is open, hotel rooms can be booked, and our call for presentations is open. The annual conference program is very heavily community sourced, so we look to the member community and the industry at large to tell us the topics and hot issues that they want to hear more about. So visit musicbiz2020.com and get some more information on that call for presentations, how you can submit fleshed out panel and presentation ideas to be considered for the 2020 annual conference program. The deadline for those submissions is December 2nd. Coming up actually before that is our Nylon Connect conference. Nylon Connect 2020 will be held in New York from January 16th to January 17th at the Dream Downtown. This is a high-level business development summit now in its fourth year. Definitely check out that event. It's folks coming together at the beginning of the year to kind of set the agenda and the talking points for the rest of the year. And a great lineup just announced recently. So that's nylonconnect.com. And here on our virtual series, we have some great events that have taken place over the last month or two, and some great companies yet to join us. We'll have AudienceNet, Hit Songs Deconstructed, Legacy Entertainment Ventures, Live Music Loyalty, Jaxta, Vistex, and Sync Tank, all in the coming weeks. They'll round out our fall series, and then late December we will announce the lineup for the beginning of 2020. So, webinars are free to view. So, check out musicbiz.org, the Common Ground webinar series link under the events tab to read more about these upcoming webinars and how you can register. For those of you that are members, our recorded webinars are also up on the website. Members can use their password to access past webinars and rewatch those or share those with their colleagues. So if you are a Music Biz member, you'll need your password to log into that recorded webinar section. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jeppe Faurfelt, co-founder and COO of Linkfire. I'm going to talk to you today about linking fans to bands. You can communicate with Jeppe during the presentation by using your questions box on your screen. If you type questions in there, he will answer those as they come up, as they fit within the presentation. So feel free if you have questions as you're going through, please communicate with him, and he will make sure that get answered in the best possible place. So with that said, Jeppe, thank you so much for being here today, for presenting Linkfire, and we're going to put ourselves on mute and let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicole, and hi everyone, although you can't say hi back in this system. But very happy to be here and be able to give you a presentation about Linkfire. And I guess the topic is linking fans to bands, deepening fan engagement from pre-release to post-show. So I'll be talking a lot about that, obviously, but first a little bit about myself. I'm one of two co-founders of the company, and I act as Chief Commercial Officer. I'm originally from Denmark, Copenhagen, but I have lived in New York for the past 3 years. Our office here is in Brooklyn, so that's where I am right now. As Nicole said, if you want to ask questions throughout the presentation, you can use the chat function, but you can also just, if you want to reach out to me afterwards, you can send me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn, or walk up and say hi to me at Nylon or at Music Biz next year. Totally up to you. We plan on being present at everything. The agenda for today will be a bit of an introduction to Linkfire, how we see smart links powering music discovery for recorded music, but also live music and also merchandise. We'll be talking about Linkfire data and how we can use that, and how to use the data around an artist. We'll be talking about this 360 degrees or 365 days strategy, everything that happens for an artist, everything from pre-release to the actual release, to a show, or let's say a tour, but also merchandise. Towards the end, we'll have a little bit of a myth debunking and a Q&A session where I'll be looking at all the questions that are hopefully coming in. But yeah, let's get started. We like to say that we're powering music discovery for billions of fans, and there are many ways that fans can discover music. We found that it can be very complex. So in 2013, we started building Linkfire, and in 2014, we launched our version of Linkfire the way that it is today. We went into the music vertical, and we wanted to have a very specific focus on music to see how our technology could be applied to the music industry. As it stands today, we are around 45 people in total, spread across offices in Copenhagen. That's where our headquarters is, but it's also where the majority of our product team sits, our customer success team. If you are using Linkfire, there's a good chance that you've spoken to someone from our customer success or sales team. The sales and marketing team is focused here in New York, and we have a small office in Los Angeles that oversees our business development and partnerships. So links are everywhere, and people click on links all the time, at least until further notice. I don't know how much voice will take over in the coming years, but right now, online activity is typically powered through links. And we expect to have about 1 billion fans clicking Linkfire links in 2019. That's at least the trajectory that we're on, which means that around 35 fans click on a Linkfire link every second. We did our first major label deal in 2015. We work with all the majors. We work with a range of independent labels, distribution companies, basically label and artist services. And this year we launched our freemium platform, which means that you can actually go in and get started for free with using Linkfire. And then as your needs progress and you want more features and more service, then there are some paid tiers that you can go into. We call them smart links, and when something is smart, it has to kind of solve a problem. I think I saw an ad with IBM. They said smart loves problems. And what we found, at least in our time in the music industry, has been that the discovery is super complex, and it's happening in so many platforms. There's so many products or songs, albums being uploaded to Spotify or the third parties daily. And there's a huge complexity in terms of where people prefer to listen to music, but also where people are in the world. We've seen an enormous growth of both global and local service providers, which obviously provides some complexity when you are launching something to the world. And then, yeah, consumption happens really siloed. The funny thing about the music industry, from our point of view, is so much of the repertoire gets consumed in third-party platforms, which is just bound to create some friction between the repertoire owners and the DSPs, and the Spotify's, the Apple, the iTunes of this world. It's obviously great to discover music on the platform that you use, but it's only great if you're a user of that platform. Also, we feel that discovery shouldn't fail, so discovery moments cannot be broken, and fans need to be served the best way possible. So that's really what we try to do. And Smart Links case in point, this is actually a tweet from today, which is funny because Zane Lowe, head of artist relations at Apple Music, wanted to hear more about UK artists, about a new playlist, and and people started sending him a bunch of Spotify links. So I thought this was a nice, fun tweak to get us off the ground and talk a little bit more about why you want to use smart links. So the way that you probably know Linkfire and have seen Linkfire is typically through these examples of landing pages. What we did was, instead of trying to guess where people wanted to go and listen to music on a global scale, we built landing pages for people to click into and then pick their preference. Those pages can be filled with all sorts of different click-through buttons. So it could be like a merch button, streaming buttons, download buttons, etc. You can even have a fan unlock, but you can also have stuff in the artwork where you have no desire to want to have people listening to music on the page. You want them to take an action. That is the example with Ariana Grande, for instance. On the left, there's no preview, there's no video playing. Then there's the Casey Musgraves, which has a 30-second preview attached to it, so you can get a little taste of what the music sounds like. And then you have the Cardi B example, which is a full-on, if you click on that play button, it's going to be a YouTube video playing. And how we do this is basically, we rely heavily on metadata. So that's where it starts for us, because in the metadata, we typically have the UPC, the ISRC, we can fetch the artwork, we can generate artist tags. So we know that we can associate this link with Camila Cabello in this example. We will apply a genre tag, so we know that this is perhaps pop. And then we're fetching all the product URLs from the various DSPs in the world. So the end result will look a little bit like this, where we generate one link to serve all fans, is what we say internally. And basically, no matter their preference, this link should serve everyone. In certain territories, a link would look like this, where you would have a bit of a privacy notice as a fan when you click into this. So obviously we take fan privacy or user privacy very seriously, as we are a Copenhagen or Denmark-based company within the European Union. We're very familiar with GDPR, and we actually believe that that's something that is going to be the future for all territories. Is there's going to be a lot of focus on user privacy. So this is how a page view of a Linkfire page looks like when you don't have a consent yet. The fan needs to accept that we're able to drop cookies, that we're able to fire retargeting pixels, and so on and so forth. We also geolocalize all of these pages. So, for instance, if you click on a link in Japan, you'll notice that it's translated into Japanese. You'll notice that you have some local services like Line Music, KKBox, etc. You can obviously customize these landing pages the way that you see fit. You can have one view for the whole world, or you can go more localized and provide local services per territory in order to sort of overserve the fans, basically. Now, this generates a lot of, or it generates 3 marketing layers, is what we say. We believe that, behind every stream there is a journey, and our MO is to reveal that journey as fans travel from discovery to consumption. So this is how we think of the world. There is a discovery layer, which is characteristic with social media. It could be emails, it could be a banner ad, it could be someone texting another one, and that one clicking on that link. Whatever it is, it's a discovery layer, that's what we call it. And then there is a bridge layer, and that's everything basically that happens on the Linkfire landing page. And then there is a conversion layer, which is everything that happens in the third-party platform, in this case, Apple Music. Our job is to basically provide full funnel insights and give you a way to track every step of the way. If you're a Linkfire user, you can go into the insights dashboard for every link, and you can find stuff like how many people visited the link, which channels or which marketing channels did they come in from. Was it all Instagram? Was it split between Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever, TikTok? We give you that overview. How many people click through from the landing page? That's a nice overview to have to see if you are connecting with the fans in a good way, if certain channels have higher click-throughs than others, which services are more popular than others based on territories. Are Line Music really the preferred music service in Japan? Like all that stuff, you can find answers for in our insights dashboard. And then one of the more recent focus points of ours has been, how do we actually get all the sales data into Linkfire? How do we get streaming data into Linkfire? But I'll talk a lot more about that as we go. So yeah, like I said, the discovery layer looks a little bit like this. It's very valuable to be able to determine how many visitors come in from what activity. So in this example, you can see this is not real data, but for instance, you will be able to see how many Camila Cabello fans were coming through Instagram versus Facebook versus a Google search or YouTube or whatever. Then there's the bridge layer. And here you can really hone in on. We typically divide every click-through to a DSP in either a streaming service, a physical service, or a download service. So in this example, and this is not Camila Cabello stats, it's just something that I have randomly pulled out because it gives a nice overview. You will see that in this example, the artist store takes actually almost 36% of the click-throughs from fans. Spotify's is dominant on the streaming side, but YouTube Music, Apple Music follows pretty close the after. So basically, this will give you a representation of service popularity. And then the last part of it is what we call the conversion layer. It is really our aim to be able to tell you as much as we can as possible about what happens when we send people into the third-party platforms. Do they stream? What do they stream? What other products do they stream? Was it the first time they streamed this artist? There's a lot of information hidden behind that door that we actually would like to unlock. As it stands today, you can get sales data back from iTunes. You can get streaming data back from Pandora. And then what we are really focusing on is this mission we call music data attribution. In order to truly understand the consumption behavior from your Linkfire links, we need to be able to get data back from the partners. So we can tell you guys what of your activities are actually driving streams or downloads or sales. So you can actually see that, oh, your off-platform activity on Instagram actually drove X amount of streams, which will then enable you for strategic decisions, saying, oh, this is a powerful channel, this piece of advertising works really well, that doesn't work so well, so let's move our budget to the one that works and move and shut down the stuff that doesn't work. So last year, we announced a partnership with Pandora. I've just included a few screenshots that allows us to get streaming information back. This year, actually, I think it was last month, we announced our partnerships with Boomplay, which is the biggest streaming service in South Africa, and with Angami, which is the biggest streaming service in the Middle East and Arab world. And we're really on a mission to be able to see how we can get data out of these silos and into one central place where you can then have a full overview of how your marketing campaign is performing. So it's a big focus area of ours, and we expect to be able to announce at least 2 big partnerships in this direction this year. We also believe that smart links can be used for tour promotion, because you can basically leverage all the data that you have that you collect on the recorded side, with people clicking on song links or pre-release links or release links or music video links. All that stuff can be used to let fans know that there's a tour going on, and so on and so forth. So the way that we think about that is, it's still rather complex to link to your tour because you have all these different tour dates and venues. So what we do is we generate a page that looks like this. This is powered by Bands in Town and Ticketmaster. And basically, we use Bands in Town to be able to find all the tour dates, and easily within 30 seconds, you'll be able to set up a page like that inside the system. And the Ticketmaster partnership, I'll talk a little more about later on. But again, similar situation. You have these three layers. The discovery layer, in this case, it's first aid kit. You're putting out an Instagram story that the tickets are now on sale. People are swiping up, they land on the Linkfire landing page, the bridge layer, and then they click into the venue of their preference. And then it enters what we call the conversion layer. And we've announced a partnership with Ticketmaster, which allows us to actually track how many tickets get sold by month, or by country, or city, or venue, or by device type. So this is what we call sort of like the full funnel, where we can track everything from the initial click to the last click. One of the early findings with this was actually that we tend to see around 80% of traffic that comes through Linkfire Link is mobile based. Actually, when we then looked at the stats for ticket conversions, we found that most conversions happened on desktop. Which was quite interesting. And then we saw like, well, it could be something to do with just the nature of buying a ticket, or if you're going into a really big venue, then you want to be able to sit there on your desktop and actually pick your seats, and you have to talk to your friends about buying tickets. So that was one of the early findings we noticed with ticket sales is, while a lot of people still swipe up, from that Instagram story on their mobile, most of the conversions actually happen on desktop. We also believe that you can use smart links for merchandise, because everything an artist does on the recorded side and the touring side will eventually perhaps lead to merchandise sales, which is obviously a revenue stream for artists and artist teams. So a little bit again, we have announced, or we actually are going to be announcing, a partnership with Merch Bar, which allows us to add a merch bar on the Linkfire landing pages, and then when people go into merch bar, we're actually able to get conversions back, how many products are being sold over on merch bar's side. We've actually also, if you don't use merch bar, we have also developed a conversion script, which is a script that you can install on your e-commerce platform, which will also allow us to grab conversion information from your shop and display it in Linkfire Insights. So it will look a little bit like this. So this is the conversion layer for SIA, for instance, where you are then going to be able to go in and see, well, I can see that I've sold 15 items, that I had a total of $264. The conversions took place on this date. And you can get more granular. You can see what type of products people are purchasing, and also the individual products people are purchasing. I left that out just because I wouldn't share so much on that right now. So that has kind of been a run through of how we see smart links powering both recorded, live, and merch. And now let's talk a little bit about how to use the data around an artist. So this is a nice overview of how we try to break everything that happens in this funnel out as events. So all those green dots are what we call actions or events that can be taken by a fan, and that can then be associated to a channel activity, like clicking on an Instagram bio link. But it could also be, yeah, successfully, we've had all these people going in on this Stephen Puth landing page. So obviously we record that event. We record the events when people click on the preview button. If people decide to leave the page again without performing an action, we call that a bounce. Which retailer they go into, and again, once they go into the third-party platform, it is our aim to be able to tell you as much as possible about what's going on the third-party platform side. And on the touring side, it looks pretty similar. Basically, all these green dots are events that can be or action that can be taken by fans in this funnel. And yeah, every interaction can obviously be targeted as audiences, provided that the fan has provided consent for cookies being dropped or retargeting pixels being fired. Once that happens, we start recording all these events, and all these green blurbs here are stuff that we're then sending into, for instance, Facebook or Google AdWords or DoubleClick or any. We can integrate with any pixel provider basically. So that they can receive all the events that happens on these Linkfire links. That enables Linkfire users to be able to create these custom audiences, and custom audiences really are things that are being recorded up until this date. So you can break out audiences by Linkfire link, by a group of artists, but also stuff like just group every click into a music service preference, so you can have an audience of all the fans that likes a particular artist and prefers to listen to music in Spotify or in Apple Music or in iTunes. So you actually, next time you want to target these fans, you don't necessarily need to show them a landing page because you already know which service they prefer. So there's really no need to, unless you feel like there's a need to show them a landing page, then what we say is like all the stuff that you learn about fans when they go through Linkfire, you can actually use that to prevent them from ever seeing a Linkfire landing page again. That could be, that's probably pretty idealistic, but at least it's a possibility. But these examples here, these screenshots here shows you that if you want to retarget everyone that has been on a specific URL, you can do that. You can set up an audience, and that will generate an audience size. If you want to group artists together, like Bastille, Of Monsters and Men, Codaline, Wombats, Tom Odell, if you have a roster that is kind of similar in terms of their fan base, then you can combine all these things and create one bigger audience for you to target again and again and again. If one of these bands or artists has something new out, or a tour is going out, merchandise is going out, or even if you have a new artist that you want to try out with this fan base, you can obviously target people with this new artist. So it becomes informed discovery, basically, or a personalized way of targeting your advertising. Some of the stuff that we've seen in practice has been using Linkfire data to adapt the message, but also the creative to the audience and the context. So here are some examples. So for instance, in audience 1, it's targeting fans of The Weeknd. It's targeting fans of related artists that are okay in terms of this is a record label that has all these artists and they share some similar traits, which enables you to target everybody who sort of has an affinity towards The Weeknd. So this will generate a broad, big audience. And then you can also say, I want to retarget everybody who has been on this Starboy campaign and actually bounce to get them back into the funnel. Audience 2 is more when you have when you already know that person you're targeting is a Spotify consumer. So then you can actually just say, go listen to this on Spotify, and that link will take people straight to Spotify from this ad. It's a very clever way to make sure that you're targeting the people that prefers to go to Spotify with an affinity towards The Weeknd. And then as time progresses and it's time to go on tour, you can obviously reuse all these artists to target, all this information to target fans with, the upcoming tour. Go purchase merchandise or whatever it is, because you've captured a high intent perhaps on the fan base previously, and now you want to see if they're interested in perhaps going to the tour or buying merch, or even vice versa. Everybody who has clicked on the tour link dates and the artist has a single out, you can retarget to the people who have actually been going to the tour or bought the merch in the past. So it sort of works both ways. And one of the things that we found in the beginning was that actually the people who bounce off a landing page are a really qualified audience because they've already been in the funnel. So this is sort of a different view on this consumer journey, basically, where you have the first event is the click on the channel. The second event would be people going to the landing page and bouncing. And basically what we found together with Republic around the weekend especially was that the people who have actually, because I think he did like 4 or 5 singles before he announced the album, and they were then targeting everybody who either clicked on the track links in the past 3, I think it was probably over in the course of 60 days or something like that. And what they found was that even though it looks like, oh, it's not good that people are bouncing, well, actually, if you retarget them to come back into the funnel, then maybe the second time or the third time around is a better time for them to go and actually listen to it or go and pre-order it or whatever it may be. So that was a little bit about how to obviously use the data. And I'm going to show you just some examples of how to think about using from pre-release to release to show and merge. So a pre-release link, as you know, looks sort of like this. This is going to be the first new version of what we call the pre-release link. It will contain a native integration with Spotify, so you can pre-save directly from the page, a native integration with Apple Music and Deezer also. But you can add as many pre-order services as you want. Amazon would be an example. Artist DSC Store would be another example of a pre-order service that could go in there. But basically, pre-release in our perspective is a very interesting window because you are able to, ahead of launch, get a really good understanding of intent. How much are people looking forward to this? You're able to grab like super fans are the ones who would go through all these steps and agree to get notified or agree to give their email to get a notification on email when the album is out or the track is out and stuff like that. So it generates a lot of good data also for CRM because you're able to grab fans' emails if they obviously choose to do that or give that permission. But it's also a really effective window when it comes to retargeting because we believe everything that happens pre-release is just a build-up for the actual release. So the more data you're able to capture and grab here in the pre-release phase, the better it will be for your retargeting activities once the release is actually live or out. So this is how a typical release link would look like. All the DSPs listed. You might want to have a video element or not. Totally up to you. Obviously, we always try to advise to, in the beginning of a campaign, when the objective is for the first week, perhaps to drive as many people as possible into the DSPs, to leave out any other elements, so leave out perhaps a video, leave out the preview, make sure people are so intrigued or let's say tempted to click through so that you're really getting the best click-through rates as you can. And obviously that whole journey provides a bunch of intent. The people who just clicked in but left again, probably pretty low intent, but they can be retargeted. But people who sort of click on the video or listen to the preview sort of like have a mid intent, interested but not right now, so you can retarget them again. And then you have the people who went into Pandora and started streaming, and then you can obviously decipher that these people had a pretty high intent, and then you can tie everything back to the stuff that you're doing on the platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, on email, etc., and really get a full picture of how your campaign is performing and how you can optimize it a little bit throughout the release phase. Tour link is sort of the same thing. You can track high to low intent, everything from people going into a specific venue to bouncing off the page. So you'll get an understanding of fan behavior. You can use all of these pages again to drop pixels, so you can retarget fans of this artist again and again. And our objective with the Ticketmaster partnership is to have this full funnel attribution, so you can see not only which venues people went into, but also actually how many tickets were purchased on your your tour link or from your tour link. And then we also have just we have built this way of doing it all in one link now. We're going to be doing much more in this direction of actually creating these sort of mini or micro sites. Actually, this artist development teams, when I did the research before this, I actually noticed that their website is actually expired. So I think their domain has expired. So right now they don't actually have a website. So we see this to be something for us to power as well. You don't, as an artist, you don't necessarily need to maintain and operate a website when there's actually tools that could perhaps create a website for you, which would have, you know, your latest release information. It would include your back catalog. It would include your tour dates. It would include your merch. So that's sort of some of the stuff that we're working towards. How do we power artist websites? Which is obviously sometimes a tedious task if you are an emerging artist and stuff like that. And yeah, I think I'll just go into some of the myths that we've heard on our journey to where we are today. So I think myth number one, this is part of what I wanted to perhaps clarify a little bit today, is like smart links equals short links. Yes, that's true. Short links is a fraction of what we do. Obviously, a short link is very convenient because you wrap URL, you make it short, it's trackable, you get information back from it. But this was really the prime example of why we ended up doing Linkfire, was because we, at the time in 2014, we saw so many posts going out on Facebook at that time with all these different links listed under each other, which was okay on Facebook, although I think at that time there was talk about the algorithm slashing the reach of these posts because there were just too many buy links in them. But also it doesn't look nice, and it's hard to incorporate so many different links in a banner. You can't really make that a banner ad or an advertisement or stuff like that. So I think, yeah, we would say, yes, we do short links or URL shortening, but we also scan all these services for product URLs. We scan the UPC, the ISRC, we get the artwork, and based off that scan, we create a smart link that people can click on throughout the world and get to their preference of choice. And you're able to get a more holistic overview of what happens in this journey. Instead of, in this example, you would have to go into 7 different insights pages and see how many people clicked on Google Play versus Deezer versus Spotify, etc. So we hope that you see us as more than just short links. Another thing we talked about a little bit already is landing pages equals drop-offs. And it's just the nature of a landing page is that you will have drop-offs. So yes, absolutely, there will be drop-offs from landing pages, but there are obviously really a lot of other ways to think about it. This lovely graph here, which looks really confusing, is an attempt to highlight that throughout the maybe 90 days, your click-through rates will jump up and down depending on what's going on around the release and at what stage you're in. So the gray bars below are visits by day, and the orange graph is how the click-through rates fluctuates, for instance. So you can see that there are some spikes here and there, and that is a typical illustration of when you, for instance, have an album out in pre-order, and then you're launching one single and another single, and then you enter release date, and you can see that everybody's now clicking on the link, and the click-through rates are increasing because you're reaching the die-hard fans in the beginning, and then perhaps after that, once your advertising starts kicking in and your targeting is a little broader than perhaps the super fans, then it's normal to see the click-through rates decline a little bit. But there are obviously different ways to work with these. We talked about the example with the bouncers, with the Weekends campaign, with Starboy, where just because people didn't click through the first time didn't mean that they weren't interested, and actually they found that just by retargeting based off that bounce event, they could actually get a really good performance on their advertising spend. So yes, definitely you'll see drop-offs, but there's also a lot of learnings from those drop-offs that you can play around with, either within a campaign or towards the next campaign. And then the myth number 3 is smart links equals just a tool for new releases. We don't think you should use Linkfire just for new releases. We think you should use Linkfire for everything that you do, because every click that happens should be tagged with an artist name. So every click, even though it drives to an article about an album or an article about an artist, that is still a click on a link that has been tagged with that artist. So, or if you're linking people over to look at a YouTube video, make sure you wrap it in a Linkfire link. Make sure it's tagged with the artist name, so you can put these people into the bucket of liking this artist, so that you can use or reuse some of the data that you are capturing to drive to merch, to drive to tours, or to drive people straight into a release. That was what I had in terms of the presentation. So I'm gonna check the questions that came in. And there is a question from Richard Christie Jr. Basically, this is a digital reporting platform. And yes, in many ways, we are a data platform, because everything, all the tools that we build, all the links that you generate through Linkfire, they're all designed to bring back data that you can use in reporting, and you can use that in attribution, so you can see what you did on Instagram drove this in iTunes, or basically we try to report on every step in this consumer journey. Richard also thinks that desktops is most likely people at work, and I do not disagree at all with that comment. There's another question from Nancy Tovar about, for tour smart links, can fans select their preferred city or region in the same way they can select their preferred DSP? The short answer is, at the moment, no, but we are building capabilities so that we can geo-target the tour promotion pages. So that will then have something like everyone within a radius of 30 kilometers from the venue go there. So we want to try to see how smart we can make these tour links as well, instead of just having them on one chronological list with the date that is the closest one to the one that's farthest away. So we want to see how we can make it even smarter, so that we can target these tour promotion links a lot better. There is a question from Jazz Reed regarding all the links. Can they be customized? For example, if there are platforms that you do not wish to populate, can they be avoided? And yes, once you're inside Linkfire, you can go to what we call the landing page editor. There you can define your territories. If you just work off your default territory, then that link will look and act the same no matter where in the world people are clicking from. And you can choose which services you want to have on there. If you want to have just 3 services or 8 or 10, it's basically up to you to decide which DSPs you want to have on there, and also which territories you want to customize the link for. So if you're, for instance, marketing in US and Canada, then you want to make sure that your partner links are on there, but maybe if someone else is marketing in Europe or Asia, then it's really up to them to define which DSP should be on the landing page, and also in which order of appearance. that you want the services to be. So Richard Chris Jr. again, thanks so much for this information. I can see how useful it can be. Is there more documentation or YouTube videos or training and understanding? We have a complete help center. It is located under help.linkfire.com. We've also recently we started a YouTube channel where we are going to be, I think there's about 4 or 5 videos on there now. Everything from how to get started with Linkfire, how to understand your insights pages, and a lot of other really good information. And I think that is it for the questions.
Thank you, Jeppe, for that presentation, very in-depth. Again, thank you for being on the webinar series. We thank all of you guys who jumped on today. If you have any further questions after this, Jeppe, do you want to give an email address or some contact information for yourself or someone else on your team that they can reach out to?
Absolutely. Yeah, and thank you all for listening to what I had to say. Let me just pull up my email so you can see it, which is here. So it's jf@linkfire.com, but feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or if we attend the same event, please tap me on the shoulder and say hi. I would love to chat with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeppe. Again, thank you all for joining us. Have a great afternoon, and we hope to see you back on the Common Ground webinar soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.